Hey guys, welcome back. This is Mohammad Badruddin and I'm covering a series of Web Security Academy from Part02. In previous video, we solved lab number 1 with the help of Bug Suite from Authentication module in the server-side topics. And today I'm gonna solve the same lab but with my own custom Python script. So before going to solve the lab, let's just see the warning as always. This video and its content are only for educational purpose and I do not support any unethical or illegal act. Without wasting time, let's go to the lab. So in this lab, in part 1, we solved this lab and the problem is this lab is this web application and its authentication part is vulnerable and it's vulnerable to user enumeration vulnerability. Why? Because when we put any username with any password and we make submit, we find an error that is invalid username. Instead of showing error, invalid credentials, invalid username and password, it's just saying invalid username. It might be a mistake by the developer, or maybe it could be a vulnerability in which we can enumerate the user, and maybe the behavior shows that this when we pass the username and password, the application first check whether the username which we passed is valid or not. If the username is valid, then it will go and check the password, right? So to exploit this, we need to enumerate the user. In the previous lab, we did it with the Bug Suite. So here we will go and just create our Python script, and while doing this, I will explain everything. So user bin in Python 3, okay, and I'm going to import modules request, import sys, and import URL lib3. Okay, and to avoid the insecure warnings, I will URL lib dot disable underscore warnings. Fine, and I want to pass all the traffic with my proxy. So proxies equal to okay, and it would be HTTP proxy, and my HTTP proxy URL is .0.0.1:8088, and we can use HTTPS too, but I'm using HTTP, so I can pass it same as HTTP. Okay, then we need to pass the main function. We need to create the main function. So if name equal and main, so main, okay, so now it will call the main function. So let's define the main function, def main, and in the main function I will pass for the argument. So I will check length of sys dot arg. If it is not equal to 2, so I will print a message to the user, so he will know that okay, we need to run this command like that. So example would be %s www.test.com and %sys.arg0. okay, next thing is just exit this, so -1, and then we need to specify the argument, that is URL. So URL is equal to sys dot r, and it would be 1, and print again a message for a user enumerating username. Okay, now we need to define one more function uh, which will enumerate the user actually. So the function name is enum user, and it needs the argument URL. Save it. Now we need to define this function. So div enum user, and the argument is URL. Okay. Now what we need to do here actually, because this lab already gave us two word list, usernames and passwords. Okay, so we need to pick each username, and with that username we will pass the same password like 123456, and we will check in the response. If this invalid username is not in the response, it means user is valid, right? So for that we will use with open, and it needs two arguments. The one is file name with the path, so root desktop and authentication, okay, slash users.txt. This is the file, and I want to read this file, and out file, its output would be in the out file. Okay, so I will say usernames equal to out file dot read, and split function will split whenever it gets the new line. Okay, means it will read Carlos, but once the line is switched, so it will see both of these or all of these in separate. Okay, and it will create actually a list. Fine, then we will call every content in the list one by one. Fine. So, and the session is timed out, so we need to start the lab again. So access the lab again. Okay, so we get the users list, and if I print this for you, okay, so print usernames, save, and let's go just check it once whether it is working fine or not. So Python 3 lab 1, and it needs the argument, copy and paste it here. Oh, okay, I made a spelling mistake here. AR, sorry. Save, and let's do it again. So you can see in a list it put all the username, and we need this actually. So no need anymore for this. So we go and make a loop for user in usernames list. Okay, and now we need to create the data because we need to make the post request. Fine, so data would be username. This is the first parameter, and the username would be user from this. What this loop will do, it will go in the usernames list and pick one user and put it here. Okay, then the password would be anything, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, now we need to create the request. Before creating the request, actually I want this request from the session. So let's say session is equal to request dot session. Okay, save it. Now create the request. So session dot post. So URL equal to URL, comma data equal to data, comma verify equal to false, so that it will not verify the SSL, and proxies equal to proxies, comma allow redirects equal to true. Fine, and capture the response in the res variable r.text. Okay. Now what we will do, we can say if invalid, if this string not in response, so it should print a message for the user, and the message would be valid username is plus user. Okay, and once it get the correct username, it should break the process. Fine, so save it and let's go run our script. So let's see whether we get the correct username or not. So let's start this, and this time the valid user is okay. Why it get me this? Because we do not put here login, because the page is login. So clear this and go there and make login, right? Okay, now it's taking. So it takes every user, you can see here, it takes every user and check. So whenever it gets here invalid user, invalid string, so we define that if you get this invalid string, it means the username is incorrect, and if it will not get this invalid string, it will say okay, the user is valid, and it will print us the username as it does. Very good. So we got the username. Let's check whether this username is correct or not. So the username is alterwind. Copy this and paste it here. Alterwind, and the password anything. So now this time you can see the error is changed, and now it said the incorrect password. Means we were thinking on the right way, because this application behavior is same like what we think before. It checks whether the user is valid or not. If the user is valid, then it goes and check the password is correct or not. So if the password is incorrect, it will throw incorrect password error. Fine. Now it's time. We already get the correct user. Now we need to uh, check which password is correct. So we need to brute force the password, right? So for brute forcing the password, what we need to do, we will, okay, so I'm not going now, because we know this, that this function is working fine. Okay, this function brings us the username. So after break, I will say return user. Okay, and I don't want to run this script from here. Why? I will tell you in a minute. So let's first get the password. So I'm going to create one more get password function, and let's define this function. So def get password, and it needs actually the URL. So here also we need URL as argument. Fine. And the same thing we need to do this time, but this time we will take this password list and we pick one by one every password and put with the user. So let's do this. So first of all, what I am going to do, this function needs two things. The one is username and another one is password, same like this, but here we check the username, and in this function we already get the username. So we will take out the username from this function. So enum user, okay, paste it here. And for the password we need to read the password word list file, and same like before, it needs two arguments, /root /desktop /authentication, okay, /passwords.text, and we need to read this file and take the output as out file. And for the password we make password equal to out file dot read, and same like before, split wherever you get the new line and create, sorry, yeah, this is the right one. So come on, yeah, all the password in a list will be saved in a variable named password. Now same like before, we need to run a for loop. So for p in password, so we need to now create the data. So data is equal to same like before. So I'm going to copy this, so we can make it real quick. Paste. So the username is user, because when we call this function, and after calling this function, when Python will read this file, this line, user equal to enum user, so it will go to this function and call this function. Then this function execute and bring us the username. Okay, so that username we put it here, and this time we will not put the password manually because we are getting the password from this password list and one by one with p. So we just put it here p. Okay, fine. So data is ready. Now we need to make the request. So session dot post, and same like before, URL equal to URL, comma, data equal to data, comma, verify equal to false, and proxies equal to proxies, comma, allow redirects equal to true. Okay, but this time the condition is different. If incorrect, because the error is incorrect password, so we will check if incorrect. Okay, not in one more thing we can do here, capture the response first. So res equal to r dot text. So incorrect is not in the response, this incorrect string. What it will do, it will print again a message that will say correct password is P. Save, and again once it get the correct password, it should not check rest of the things. Okay, so save this, everything looks good. let's go and run the script. So clear this and clear all of this. Yes, and let's run. Hope for the best. It's taking root user, then test user, then now it's checking actually the username, invalid username. So once it get the valid username, uh, it will give us here. Okay. And you can see all the request has 3102, same like before, and it gets the correct username, alter wind. Okay. Now it should check for the password. So alter wind, the username is same in every request, you can see alter wind, but the password is different. So it gets the password also. This is the last request, Carlos 1234. No, this one, where is it? 000 Q, where is it? uh, alter wind L Superman. I don't know where is it, where the request has gone, but the most important thing is we get the password, right? So let's go and check this username and password. So username is alterwind. Copy this, go there, paste it here, then go back, copy the password and paste it here, log in, and we are logged in successfully. So this was the lab. We already created our script. Now, why we need to spend our time to create the custom scripts and Python script? Why we give so much time to creating the scripts? Because custom scripts are always good. Personally, uh, I would recommend you to create the custom exploits, because once you are going for the penetration testing or testing the networks or testing the web applications, you need this, because once you created and another time once you see the same thing, you already have the custom script with you. You just open this script and change a little bit and you will good to go. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please support so I can bring new contents for you, and share, subscribe and like as much as you can. Thank you very much. See you.